charge of all the ones that are in there. So anyway, the first group that I got to help with the restoration was the Daughters of the American Revolution. My mom was a member of the Los Angeles Schultz chapter. Shortly thereafter, the American Legion Post 43 contacted me. Lester Probst, who was a member there, still is. He's getting up there, but he's still full of a lot of piss and vinegar. He got Post 43 interested in, and we planted stuff and cleared it off about 2 weeks before we had the original monument rededication. And since then, I've gotten other groups, the Friends of Elysian Park, who was at that point called something else, the Citizens Committee to Save Elysian Park. I got there. Initially, they weren't necessarily interested. They just wanted to see what we were all about. I think they wanted to see if I was for real. But once we got it, the monument restored, they become my closest partner. And now, every time we have one of these events, they're out here pulling weeds and raking and putting mulch out. I mean, they basically help the Rec and Parks, because this place, there's not enough employees from Rec and Parks to keep this place good. So it's really the concerned citizens that live in this area that do it. So I think they all deserve a round of applause. And I guess that's pretty much it for an intro. Before we get into the historical part of the program, I do want to, first I want to mention Elena Chavez. She's from City Council District 1. This little park, both city council districts. First city council district that really helped out. I got on board like 7 years ago. About 2 years ago, the new city council member from this district at least started sending representatives. So I'm hoping that eventually both city council districts really take ownership of this place, because it is the dividing line between their districts basically goes down the road. So half of it is on one side and half is on the other. So it's kind of interesting. They both have a piece of it. The rest of the history of the park we'll get into in the program. But before that starts, I'm going to ask Conrado Terranzas Cross, District Representative for State Senator Maria Elena Durazo, to give a presentation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here on behalf of Senator Maria Elena Durazo. Unfortunately, she could not make it today, but she was to have me represent her today as we rededicate the Victory Memorial Grove on flag. Many of you may have read the numbers, but more than 23,000 Angelinos had served in the armed forces in World War I. Of those, more than 400 had paid the ultimate sacrifice. Senator Durazo asked me to come here today and present some certificates of recognition to those who helped the team establish this victory memorial. So first I want to call on the representative from the Daughters of the American Revolution, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, chapter Los Angeles. Is it Megan?
Yes.
Then we also want to present to James Kyle, read this to you. In recognition of your exemplary work with the Department of Recreation and Parks in the 26th District, may your commitment, leadership, volunteer services in our community, and the importance of maintaining Elysian Park as an example for us all. Although he did not want to be recognized, we're going to recognize him. That's Cortland Jinda. In recognition of your exemplary participation in volunteer services with the World War I Centennial Commission and the Monument Restoration at Victory Grove Memorial Grove. May your commitment and leadership in our community about the importance of honoring the past heroes of protecting Elysian Park be an example to us all.
And now I'm going to offer Julia A. Macias, field representative for the state assembly woman Wendy Rio, to also give a
How are you? Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julia Macias, and I'm a representative here on behalf of Assemblywoman Wendy. Thank you for your kind invitation to our office for this incredible event. It is an honor to be here today celebrating Angelinos and Californians of the past who dedicated their lives during World War I to World War II. I'd like to call all three of those being recognized to the stage: Daughters of the American Revolution,
Woo!
Associate Chapter, Portland Jindra, and Mr. James Todd. And I'll read. On behalf of the 52nd Assembly District, it is my honor to recognize each of you for your selfless leadership towards the renovation of Victory Memorial Monument in Elysian Park. I thank you for your noble efforts in advocating for the preservation and green remembrances of the sacrifices World War I service members made to serve this nation. Your commitment to ensuring our local and national histories remain alive and accessible for all to pay their respects to and enjoy is a most appreciated cause. We wish you many years of continued success in your efforts. Congratulations, and thank you for all the hard work that you do. So let's give a great round of Thank you all.
I didn't know. I don't do this for certificates. So anyway, we're going to start the historical part right now. I've often been asked, why do we do these things on Flag Day? What the hell Flag Day even is? It's kind of the running stepchild of patriotic holidays. So this year, I decided in our program we would give a little bit of history on Flag Day itself in addition to on. So I'm going to ask Marina Tidwell to lead us through the history of both.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, on June 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress passed a resolution calling for a flag of the United States to have 13 alternate stripes, red and white, and 13 stars, white on a blue field, representing a new constellation. After independence was won, new states would be added to the Union and stars on the flag multiplied. In the late 18th and 19th centuries, flags required many hours of hand sewing and were rarely seen outside government buildings or military installations. However, by the onset of the Civil War, technology finally made the mass production of flags possible. Phew! After Fort Sumter was fired upon, flying flags became ubiquitous in the northern states to show support for the Union. Almost as soon as the shooting started, George Morris, a newspaperman from Connecticut, suggested that the nation mark the anniversary of choosing the flag as a way to have a patriotic season due to the 4th of July. However, the idea didn't take off. In June of 1885, Bernard J. Sigrand, a school teacher in Wisconsin, was concerned about the lack of patriotism in the young. He had his students write essays about what the flag meant to them, and he went on a lifelong quest advocating for June 14th to be set aside to honor the U.S. flag. He delivered thousands of speeches and wrote numerous articles in newspapers all over the country. Sigrand is often referred to as the father of Flag Day.
to be here. Honored to represent American Legion as well as Post 43 Hollywood. The flag belongs to no crowd, no clique, no party, no organization, no lodge, no club, but is in the hands of those who love it. And that assemblage is the citizenship of our country, always prepared under an emergency to defend its symbolic meaning.
Now, in 1914, as you all know, a cataclysm broke out overseas, now known to us as World War I. 2 years passed and millions were dead in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, the Far East, and on the seas. The U.S. had so far remained neutral. President Woodrow Wilson already had pacifist streak and feared that entering the war would inflame tensions within our borders. The country had millions of citizens only a generation or two removed from homelands on both sides of the conflict. And there was agitation between various immigrant groups and also among those who had been in the country for generations. Wilson desired a way to bring the country together. As June approached, the president penned a proclamation to mark Flag Day as a day of unity for the nation. The first commander-in-chief to ever call on citizens to mark Flag Day. After a parade in Washington, D.C., sponsoring military preparedness, on June 14, 1916, he spoke to the assembled crowd.
I took the liberty a few weeks ago to ask our fellow citizens all across the nation to gather together in celebration of this day, the anniversary of the adoption of our present flag as the emblem of our nation. Sometimes we have been charged with being a very sentimental people, fond of expressing general rhetorical principles not sufficiently defined in action. But this is not a day of sentiment. This is a day of purpose. I regard this day as a rededication to the ideals of the United States.
Wilson sought to be a peacemaker and repeatedly tried to arbitrate between the belligerents overseas. However, despite his best efforts, by April of 1917, the United States was dragged into World War I. It was a fateful decision. Despite being only involved for 19 months, as was mentioned, 116,000 Americans would die, more than the entire Vietnam and Korean wars together. This, combined with the disastrous pandemic, which coincided with the end of the war, inspired communities across the country. It inspired communities across the country to memorialize the fallen in grand and small ways. And here was no different. Over 23,000 Angelenos had served in the armed forces, more than 400 of whom made the ultimate sacrifice. Just prior to Memorial Day 1919, the Los Angeles Examiner newspaper convinced the LA Parks commissioners to create a Victory Memorial Grove, but where Radio Hill is today, in recognition of the sacrifice made by Angelenos in the war. The site had access issues and was shortly abandoned, and the current location was chosen. The new Victory Memorial Grove was christened on August 2nd, 1920.
Three live oaks were planted at the dedication of the grove, one by Mayor Snyder in honor of his son Captain Ross Snyder, one by Mr. Otterman Stevens for his wife Mrs. Stevens, creator of the Red Cross salvage system, and one by Lieutenant Burren Fitz in honor of the American Legion.
Yay, Sakai!
Unfortunately, it's uncertain how many trees would eventually be planted here in honor of those lost in the war. Records are spotty, but we believe it to have been more than 40. In addition to trees, a few civic groups attempted to place memorials here, but only one was successful. In 1920, the California branch of Daughters of the American Revolution wanted to erect a monument to relatives lost in the war. A committee was formed of members from 4 Southern California chapters, and based on their influence and connections, they got permission to place their boulder, and on Flag Day, 1921, they dedicated the monument that sits atop this hill.
Six shields are embedded in the laurel of victories achieved. 4 contain the emblems of service in which their lives were lost: the Army, the Navy, the Aviation, and the Red Cross. While in another is the State Shield, in another the insignia of the DAR. Overall is the eagle, with watchful eye, our national emblem of guardianship. The granite marker is from a California quarry and is of most durable quality. This is the artistic work of Lane Brothers of this city.
Ladies from throughout the state had loved ones included on the marker, with some of those family members stretched far beyond our state's borders. The furthest afield honored here is Kenelm Dial, a British naval surgeon whose ship was destroyed by a German submarine.
So good morning. My name is Richard Rowe, and I'm great nephew of Kenelm Richard Diet, senior award winner this month. Until I actually connected with Courtney about 8-9 months ago. I actually met her at Victory Memorial in Los Angeles, even though I grew up in Southern California. Kenelm was my paternal grandmother, Shirley's brother. My grandmother was deeply sad by his death. Just another tragedy in your family's life, like they were from this war itself. She was an active member of the Long Beach Daughters of the American Revolution, and she worked dutifully with others in the DAR to organize this wonderful memorials. A little bit about my great uncle, Kenelm. He has a distinction that separates him from the others in the state. He served in World War I. He was an officer. He was in the British Royal Navy. Although my grandmother was born in New York City, and was one of her two brothers. Her mother, her father was an army, and sometime in the teenagers the family moved back to Britain. Together they had a family of 7 kids. World War I broke out. 3 of the brothers in the Army, Flying Air Corps, and Kenelm. Before he took his first service, Kenelm finished medical school. After that, ship surgeon. His first assignment was aboard HMS Titan, which is a battle participated in the Battle of Jungle, the battle against the German ISIS fleet. The British won that battle. HMS Titan itself escaped and survived minor damage, but still suffered 24 killed sailors. And I can only think of my great uncle's activity over the plate, since he was one of 2 doctors in In January 1917, my uncle was transferred off to Britain. January 1917, he got married. He married Fanny Desiree Patrick. So I'm glad to hear about that. He also transferred him as a Navy surgeon to the HMS Wreath, which was a bomb aboard My father he was only a young boy, 6. He grew up in Southern California, but he must have wanted such a I heard about those stories about sacrifice. Now you died. Now it was sacrifice. Now you died. I also heard about his experiences in Belgium. It's given all the servicemen that HMS Tiger over his shoulders. But I'm thankful to corporate for these content. Never heard about it. I feel like today it's brought me full circle in the story. I'm so pleased to be here. And those who gave their lives to one last thing. About 5 years ago, I was sitting. I inherited kind of a secretary desk with my parents. And my parents put all the old papers and stuff. And I found this big mail folder. And somehow, I had this appointment. There's a picture of it.
Royal Grove fell into disrepair. However, since the restoration effort began, the work to make it look more how it was originally intended to be continues as a place of honor and reflection for those who gave their lives more than a century ago.
Right, Wreath. That as the years go on, and the world knows more and more of America, it will turn to America for those moral inspirations which lie at the basis for all freedom. And that America will come into the full light of the day, when all shall know that she puts human rights above all other rights, and that her flag is not only the flag of America, but also of humanity. Thank you. God bless you.
I guess there are already people that put flowers. I was going to ask if have flowers put on you. They can do so at this time. So I guess since that already happened, if the ladies from the Daughters of the American Revolution would like to put the wreath over the monument. Alright, that's just about it. Before we leave you today, though, I do want to read some of the words that Margaret Powell Stuckey, who was the vice regent of the Daughters of the American Revolution, gave at the conclusion of the dedication back in Flag Day of 19. She said, "This is but an outward expression of what is in our hearts, and may we establish the custom of a pilgrimage each year to this spot, to pay tribute to those who are great friends and visitors." And that concludes today's ceremony. Thanks for coming once again. We make it different every year, so please feel like you can come again in the future. Yeah, there's food over there if you want any. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
No, you in it.
Oh,
I'll kick you out after.
Venga, hombres. Mixing, guys. Come on. Todos juntos, véngase. Oh, you're in. You're in. Get this bit. Véngase. Get in here.
Oh, for the Dodgers.
The other year.
and I would fill up and say
Let's actually.
Oh, sorry. I'll sit.
Just obey me.
Just obey me. This is my family all the time. Okay, I'm gonna take a bunch, all right?
You have to put up a new daily.
So James and Liz, this is a Salvia Desperado. So it's a white sage, purple sage blend. This gets big. So it's a cross of two natives. You have Apiana. This is Apiana mixed with the Leucophyllus.
Case manager. Alright. Hope you guys are having a great Flag Day. Hope you like the stream. Thought it'd be something different. Of course, we're at Elysian Park here, just overlooking Los Angeles. It's a nice park here. One of the better parks in Los Angeles. I know a lot of parks in Los Angeles get a lot bad flack, you know, with the homeless and how terrible most parks in Los Angeles are, but Legion Park, pretty nice. Anyways, if you like the stream, please like, subscribe. Happy Flag Day. Happy birthday, Donald Trump, by the way. Anyways, this is your boy Ryan. I'll check you guys out in the next live stream. Stay safe. Have a great weekend, by the way, with your friends and family. Stay safe. I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.